Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So my name's Katie and today I'm doing a very exciting video, and that is my book talk for Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty. So this was just released and a few days ago, and obviously I had to read it straight away because this is one of my favourite series. So I was super excited to get to the audiobook because I listened to all this series on audio actually, and I would highly recommend that if you want to pick up the series, because it just adds so much to the series. I think it really took it from like a 4.5 to a 5-star for me. This is actually the first like individual book talk I've ever done, so hopefully it goes well. It might be a little chaotic, as most of my videos are. I'm just a bit of a chaotic person in general really, but so we're going to do a book talk, and I'm going to do the first section without spoilers and just a bit in general about the series, and then the second section with spoilers. I've got my notes here, they're quite incoherent. I just written like names of characters and stuff, it's all a mess. But let's just get into it. So the first thing I'm going to say is the first book, City of Brass, we're following this character called Nari, who is kind of a con artist living on the streets of Cairo, and one day she accidentally summons this jinn or deva who takes her away to this magical city called Davabad. So we're following her, and then also this prince Ali from Davabad, the city, and he's kind of embroiled in the politics. So that's the premise of the series, and then it just expands so much into the world. It's very political driven series, I would say. The politics of Davabad, and the kind of, no characters are super bad or super good. Well, there's definitely some super good characters, but the kind of villains, you're very sympathetic towards them. I'm gonna gush a bit about this later, but the main kind of villain of this series is just one of my favorite characters ever. She's just such a well-crafted character, and she's so tragic, but she's also quite villainous, but you also feel for her. It's exactly how I like my villains to be done. So that is definitely one of the highlights of the series, the villains. And also another one of the villains in the first couple of books, he's very you can see why he's doing what he's doing, basically. So that's definitely a highlight of the series. And also the protagonists, Nari and Ali, they're both amazing, and their kind of growth throughout the series is so lovely to see. And in Empire of Gold, I just loved both their growth. I think Nari especially, her growth in this book. I think Ali probably had most of his growth in Kingdom of Copper, but his progression in this book as well was really nice to see, with kind of him discovering his ancestry and really coming into himself. I just love Nari in this book, really becoming the Nahid she was always meant to be. So I loved her. And Dara's story in Empire of Gold just tore up my heartstrings. He hasn't been my favourite character. I sort of felt a bit meh about him in City of Brass, and then it's City. That was quite Yorkshire. And then in Kingdom of Copper, I really didn't like him. But in this book, his POVs were actually my favourite to read from, partly because of the kind of characters we're following through his eyes. Manise. I just love it. And but also Dara's story, I just so felt for him so much in this book. And it's his journey, and I think it showed really well how kind of young people can become radicalized, and just they don't know any better, and they do these bad things, and then it's just dealing with the repercussions of that. And Dara's story is just absolutely heartbreaking. But I was really happy with his ending actually, and how his character kind of wrapped up. I thought it was really nice, and I'll talk about it a bit more in the spoiler section. But just all the character endings were so satisfying. And going back to Nari, learning about her kind of parents and that story, that was very emotional. It was just a very emotional book. I think this book, so Empire of Gold, it follows, if you read City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper, it follows quite a similar structure, whereas the first bit's quite slow. It's more journeys and just kind of characters almost getting to where they need to be. But I really like that because I feel it allows for a lot of character growth, and also setup of political tensions for later in the book. So yeah, I love that. And then the ending's like this big explosive finale where all the characters are like coming together and all these like battles are going down. And yeah, it's just so dramatic. And I was like, I just couldn't stop reading. I listened to like 8 hours of the audiobook in like one sitting. And yeah, it was just so amazing. And I also really love in this series how the kind of magical creatures, the like old powerful magical creatures kind of coming in and like butting in on the protagonist. That didn't quite make sense, but like they're getting involved. So that you have these like protagonists who are quite young and just sort of taking like things as they come, but then you have these like ancient entities that are like all powerful and they're sort of getting involved in the like politics and what's going on. And that's one of my favorite like tropes, I guess, in books, where like these kind of ancient magical creatures like come and get themselves involved. I just really like that, because you have the Marids, who are like the water creatures, and then you have the Ifrits, who are like, they're kind of the baddies, the like evil ones, but I love them so much. So Viseresh and Eshma, they're kind of like, they're not, I would say they are kind of like, they're sort of the main villains, but they're also not. They're like the kind of evil backing force for the main villain, I guess. And yeah, it's just because they obviously have very different motivations. And the I think it's her Purgi, I'm not quite Puri, I'm not quite sure how to say that, but that little bit with Nari in this book as well was amazing. Just the kind of how these ancient magical beings have like, they have very different motivations from the humans, and obviously they have very different kind of goals, and seeing how that like interacts with our protagonists and their goals, and yeah, how the kind of magic's all coming together. And yeah, Ali and the Marids, I love that whole storyline. The Marids have like very clear goals, but the way they're going about it is maybe not the same as how we like as humans or as Jinn would go about it. So yeah, that was interesting. Like in this series, there's a lot of old grievances that are coming to play, because you have like the Katanis and the like Nahids who hate each other. So there's that like clash. And then you have the like Marids who are kind of, they don't like the Jinn because they've been like wronged by them. And yeah, and the Ifrits have like been wronged by everyone. And there's just a lot of kind of ancient like political grudges. And I think in this series shows as well that like the children, they're not responsible for their parents or their ancestors' crimes, and they have to try and work to do better, which I really like that theme. So yeah, so that's going to be the end of the like non-spoilery section. I've just waffled on. So I'm going to talk about more like spoilery thoughts now. One of the highlights for this book for me was Nari and Jamshid. Oh, their little sibling dynamic. Oh, just so cute. And yeah, I just loved them, and how they sort of, just how they interacted. And then this scene near the end where, oh, Nari poisons Jamshid, and then it like gets turned around, and oh, that was just, I just loved seeing them, and how they kind of both been like alone their whole lives. Well, in terms of like family. Well, I guess Jamshid had Kaveh, but yeah, and just getting them both getting like a sibling for the first time. I just really love sibling relationships, and oh, that just pulled on my heartstrings so much. And obviously I really love the like Kitani siblings, so Ali, Muntadir and Zainab, but we didn't get a huge amount of Muntadir and Zainab in this book. I would have liked more of them, but I did like the little bits that we got. They're both such great characters. And there's a scene at the end where they were like betting on whether Ali and Nari had kissed, and I just thought that was so funny. And I think that is explored more in the earlier books. But yeah, just the kind of scene at the end when they all reunite, and that was really sweet as well. Just all the character like relationships in this book just are all so good. And another one of my favourites in Empire of Gold was actually Muntadir and Dara. They're just their kind of headbutting, and just they have so much like sass with each other. And they're kind of in similar like positions, because what am I doing with my hands? They're both kind of bound by like their duty, and they're quite, I don't know, they have similar traits, and so it's like a Moash and Kaladin situation. I'm just looking at my notes here. Oh, and Mish Mish. Oh, I've got it like capitalized. I don't know if you can see. Where is it? There. Oh, and he's just so cute, and he really reminded me of a Milog from She-Ra. I love that, and I loved how like Nari, and she like gets this like flying lion cat thing. I think they're called Shedu, and how that's kind of what the like ancient Narids had. That was just a really nice kind of Nari like embracing a heritage. And just and she called him Mish Mish. That's such a cute name. And every time he was like on page, I was like, oh, it's so cute. And when he was like, he likes fruit, and oh, and then he was like purring, and oh, I just love cute characters. But yeah, he was so sweet. And I think he's a he anyway, I'm not sure. But yeah, and when she like flew into Daevabad on him, and oh yeah, so Mish Mish was definitely a highlight of this book for me. I just need a spin-off of like Nari and Ali being happy with Mish Mish just being there. Oh yeah, he was so cute. Yeah, need a Mish Mish spin-off, even though he can't talk. But yeah, I really like the kind of when the protagonist gets like an animal companion and then they like come riding into the city. You get that kind of in Game of Thrones, like with Daenerys and the dragons. So yeah, I thought that was really cool. I'm going to talk about Meniza for a bit because she is just the absolute highlight of this series for me. She's so... I don't even know. She's such a great villain. Like, you can see where she's coming from. Like, wanting kind of peace for her tribe and like equality, but then you can also see how she's like slowly become corrupted and just kind of gotten on the wrong path, and how she's kind of this. I think Empire of Gold has a really great descent of a villain arc. That's what I call it in my head anyway, where a villain kind of like slowly loses it, like things happen, and so they're kind of at this like teetering on this point where they could either like become good or kind of go down, and they kind of go down because of things that happen and sort of influences. And yeah, Meniza just has such a tragic like backstory, and finding out more about that, like the prologue, when like Gaston's like hurting her. I'm not sure if he's hurting her or her brother, but yeah, that broke my heart. And it's easy to see how she kind of became like twisted, and how she can like justify her actions, and she kind of has become like what she is basically. And watching her like slowly losing it throughout the story, like when she like the first kind of stage is when she loses Kaveh, and then she starts like murdering all these Daeva, as I'm guessing for blood magic. So yeah, the kind of magic's corrupting her, and obviously Eshma and Vizaresh as well, they're kind of there like being devils on her shoulders, and they're obviously out for their goals and she's out for her goals, and they're like mutual downfall almost. So yeah, that's like the first stage, and then she starts and then she enslaves Dara, and that kind of I was like, oh shit. And I don't swear much, but yeah, except on Twitter. My brother has this joke that I have an alter ego on Twitter that swears. Yeah, I don't really swear much in real life, but I do occasionally on Twitter. But yeah, I was like, when that happened, because that was when I started like I think really feeling for Dara, and just towards the end as well, when Nari came and Dara was like, the Banu Meniza is excellent. It was very like, there is no war in Ba Sing Se, and Nari was like, I can't believe Dara's like this now, and Dara's like, you can like feel his pain. It like came off the page at you. And when Meniza said he could speak freely, and he just completely broke down, and the relationship between Dara and Meniza as well is such a fascinating one, because I think like you can see the kind of hero worship Dara has for Meniza, and then you can sort of throughout this book you slowly see him start to become like disillusioned with her, but just when he's maybe starting to like break free. I don't know, like, so he goes to the hospital and tries to help Zainab, but then when he comes back and then he kind of gets enslaved, and that's just kind of like the breaking point. But at that point he's now enslaved, so he can't do anything about it, and that's just so like yeah, that's just really emotional. And yeah, that scene like when Dara and Nari reunited and Dara's like enslaved, and that was very dramatic. But on that like point of Dara and Manaisa, the fact that Dara was the one to kill Manaisa, I was so happy with, because there's like nothing I love more than like a victim of abuse killing their abuser. Yeah, I think that was probably the most satisfying way Manaisa could have died for me. I think like if it had been Nari who killed her, I don't think I would have been as happy with that. But I think, yeah, Dara killing her was great. Okay, and yeah, because we're kind of more towards the end now. So the Nara and Dari, after the kind of finale, and when Nari and Dara were saying goodbye, and that just, I mean, I don't really ship them. That goodbye just got me, like, because like Dara knows that Nari will kind of flourish without him, and so he was like going away, and I think I was really happy with that ending. I was kind of expecting Dara to die actually, but I mean, I'm not a big fan of character deaths, so I was quite happy he didn't. But yeah, just them saying goodbye and him just sort of going off to try and seek his redemption, and you sort of get the sense that Dara almost has his whole own like series he could have for like earning his redemption, and he obviously wants what's best for Nari, and he is actually doing that, and I think that's just a really nice marker of how much his character has progressed. And the line, I'll read it, is that I would take your hand 1,000 times over. That's just such a beautiful line, and yeah, I just like need that tattooed on me or something. But yeah, that's just beautiful. But yeah, so that was super emotional. Really like it when a climax kind of happens slightly earlier on in the book, because this book had about like 2.5 hours, I would say, of the audiobook that was sort of the aftermath, and characters just kind of like healing from it and like talking about things, which I really liked. So yeah, so them saying goodbye. Yeah, and then when Ali and Jamshid were reunited with Muntadir, that was heartbreaking as well, when he like didn't believe they were really alive. Oh yeah, but I just love seeing them reunited. And I think we didn't get a lot of Ali and Muntadir's relationship in this one, because I think they have a very fascinating like sibling dynamic as well. But I think Ali kind of mourning Muntadir because he thought he was dead at the beginning of the book, I think that kind of, and Ali like realising that his like big brother was kind of didn't feel like comfortable sharing himself with Ali, and Ali kind of regretting that, and I think there's a lot of like hope for their relationship going forwards. So yeah, I really like them. And then I love Muntadir and Jamshid, they're so cute. I just need some like fluff of them living happily together in their little house. But yeah, but I was happy with their ending, that they kind of ended up together. So yeah, and then another thing I wanted to talk about, I know I talked about this a bit earlier, but Nari and Jamshid and their relationship, and the point when like Nari poisoned him, but then she like regretted it and then didn't poison him, and then but we as the reader thought he'd been poisoned. So like when we all thought Nari had come to Daybed on her own, but then when like Jamshid showed up and then Ali showed up, and that was so exciting. And yeah, I just really loved that. This video is like very gushy. It's not really me analysing the book in any way. But yeah, I really love that. I'm just kind of sharing my favourite moments. And then also one of the things I really love about this series is that Nari is a healer. And there's a lot of, especially in Kingdom of Copper, there's a lot of stuff with like the hospital. And I, of course, really like that. So, and there were some scenes in this book. The first one is when Nari is like drilling into the little boy's skull because she doesn't have her magic. So I think it sounded a bit like a craniotomy, so I'm just calling it that. But that was very traumatic for me, because we did dissection, and there was this like bone saw that kind of came down from the ceiling, and that was the most terrifying thing, because whenever you're using it, you're just so scared of like it kind of coming, and that was very scary. But yes, that kind of gave me a bit of flashbacks. The dissection room was not my favourite place. But yeah, it was fascinating though. It's not really related to Empire of Gold, but yeah, just kind of having held a human brain in my hands, it's very humbling. But yeah, so that was quite a intense scene. And then also there's a scene where Nari and Jamshid are performing open heart surgery on Ali while Ali is wide awake. Like, what? Why were they doing that? Just, you could have given him anaesthetics. I mean, I know they probably didn't exist in those times, but I'm sure they had some kind of like herbs or something they could have given him. But it was quite sweet that like Jamshid was talking to Ali and they kind of had a little bonding moment. So I did like that. But yeah, that was quite dramatic. And then finally, I'm just going to talk about the very ending. So with Nari and her parents. And well, first of all, finding out that Nari is Russam's daughter instead of Manaisa's daughter. Oh, that was as soon as we found that out, it was sort of like all clicked into place, because like you can tell that Manaisa definitely loves Jamshid more than Nari. But I also did really love that Jamshid still like thinks they're siblings. Well, he knows that they're not, but he like says, oh, we're still siblings really. But yeah, so that was cute. But yeah, just knowing that Nari is Manaisa's niece, and that it was Manaisa who was trying to kill Nari when they were little, and Rustam had to like try and take her away, and that was why Manaisa killed Rustam. That was another really like tragic thing, that she killed her brother. Yeah, she's just such a fascinating character. But anyway, so little flashback that we got with I don't know if there was Marid that was telling Nari or what, but with Rustam and Doria, Nari's mother. And that I don't cry very often in books, but that scene, that kind of made me tear up a bit, because that was just so like finding out Nari's origins. And I wrote a few quotes down from that scene. Yeah, and how they had to run away with Nari and they were being chased down by Manaisa. I've got the "I love you, little one" as a quote from Nari's grandfather. That's very cute. When her mother like gave her to the river to be looked after, and you could just see the kind of love that her parents had for her, and it was so sad that Nari like never got to experience that. So yeah, that was very sad. So in the other quotes is, oh yeah, so and so then the kind of final ending, like the epilogue and stuff, I loved how like hopeful it was. And the last line, it was like, Nari always smiled at her marks. That was such a great throwback to the first book. Yeah, I love that. And then yeah, the epilogue was just so like joyful, just kind of Nari and Ali actually like being the young people that they are, and just kind of, yeah, it was just so like hopeful, and I loved it. And then yeah, the quotes are, well, the first one was, she would lay down roots and see what grew. So I just really like that one, because like Nari's decided to stay in Daevabad, and then she's just kind of, I just really love like naturey metaphors. So yeah, I love that one. And then also, for Nari was going to bring forth a world in which her mother would have been free. Yeah, because the big theme of the series is with the like the Shafi versus the like full-blooded Daeva, and I just think that's such kind of a nice way to end it, because yeah, well, I'm just not okay. I can't believe the series is over, and I'm so thankful for these amazing characters and just their like journey in the magical world of Daevabad. And yeah, I will definitely be reading her next books. But yeah, so if for some reason you watched the end having not read this series, then please read it, because it is amazing. And yeah, so if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. And I hope you're all having a great day, and I'll see you next time.